Hi, listeners. I just wanted to give everyone a quick content warning. This episode deals with slavery, human trafficking, and slipping a drug in someone's drink. So, if that is something that is going to be difficult for you to listen to, know that now before you go any further. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Who Are You? A Babylon 5 Watchcast, where two strangers who met on the internet get to know each other while watching one of their favorite shows from their childhood. I'm Xhafer,
And I'm Laura.
and Laura, I have to ask you, who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you?
Do you know who I am?
Yep. I'm starting to regret this bit that I made up, but we'll keep going because I did think about it this week. I really
Good.
did.
Yeah.
And, among many things that I am a fan of the work of Kurt Vonnegut, the author. I don't know
Yeah.
how much you've read.
Cat's Cradle. That's it.
Okay. Interesting.
It's sitting right next to me somewhere.
I got interested in Kurt Vonnegut when, sometime in high school, I heard about the banned books list of the most commonly banned books from libraries, and they're all stupid reasons, mostly people being afraid of things they don't know.
Yeah.
Or things they don't understand. But one of his books was on there, and it was Slaughterhouse-Five.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first one I read, but it's not my favorite. I'd have to say that my favorite is Breakfast of Champions, which he wrote about kind of processing his mother's suicide and his own mental health. And that really resonated with me since I came from a family that didn't really talk much about mental health, but maybe needed to, as did all of us 90s children, I think. I'm not
Yeah.
alone there. But one of the quotes that he has that is actually not from a book I've read, it's from Mother Night. And he says a lot of things, and he has this voice that is very 20th century and very smart, but still relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very just casual way of speaking that spoke to me a lot. And he says that we are what we pretend to be. So we must be very careful about what we pretend to be. And I really resonated with that idea because I feel like a lot of times I am walking around life pretending to be something, not in a false way,
Yeah.
but like I'm trying things on and I'm trying on ideas and personas. And I think we all are, whether we acknowledge that or not. And he's reminding us that we need to be careful about those ideas that we try on
Yeah.
because some of them are dangerous. But so when I was thinking about the question, I was thinking about what am I trying on right now? Like, what are things besides podcasters
Right.
that I'm trying on? Because this is my first attempt at a podcast. And one of them I'd have to say is that I'm a Minecrafter right now. Since since he was 4, he's had an iPad because all kids these days do.
Yeah.
It seems like.
Yeah, it's one of the things they get.
And my husband put Minecraft on his iPad. And because he is an only child, we do play with him a lot because he doesn't really have anyone else in the house to play with him. So Minecraft was something that we could do with our 4-year-old that would also be interesting to us.
Okay.
Because, a lot of like kids' cartoons or kids' games aren't particularly interesting or challenging for an adult.
Yes. Not having children, but having nephews. Well, and a niece now too. I understand.
Yes.
Like, I've watched way too much kids' TV that is meant clearly for children. I loathe Blippi.
Oh, I have never seen Blippi. Yeah.
Don't. I mean, yours is probably too old now anyways. He's for real little ones, but yeah, Blippi is the fucking worst. Just...
Yeah. I feel sorry for everybody that got really stuck on Baby Shark. That's one that's
Yeah, that's
Ooh,
that's in the zeitgeist, and
yeah.
there's nothing we could do about it.
And all kids definitely go through that where they really like something repetitive. Owen went through a phase where he would watch, the same movie. He could do it 2 times, 3 times
Mhm.
in a day, but his movies were always interesting things. Like, his first movie was that he really got into was Nightmare Before Christmas,
Okay.
which I thought when I was showing it to my 2-year-old, he was going to be frightened, and he just loved the hell out of it. And
Awesome.
so at least it was like, well, this is a really well-constructed musical that I can sing
Yeah.
along with, but circling back to my point was that Minecraft is something we can do as a family that doesn't also make Aaron and I die a little inside, and it's what you make of it. It's such a sandbox. Like, you can be as complicated with it as you want, or you can just
Mhm.
chill out and dig holes and build houses and have cool worlds with your friends, and
Yeah. I
or
have a lot of my friends play Minecraft, and I mean, maybe it's because I work in IT, but, like, different teams have their own servers and everything,
Mhm.
you
And
know?
we've gotten into that whole community around it. We have some YouTubers that we follow that they're on the Hermitcraft server, which is a big
Mhm.
Minecraft name if you're, really interested in that community. Um, we actually I feel silly saying this, but we actually bought Owen a Christmas present that was like a piece of swag from one of his Minecraft YouTubers because we actually, some of them, it's like anything on YouTube. Some of them are not as polished or, just not your vibe because anybody
Yeah.
can publish what they want, right? But we found the set of YouTubers that it's like, "Oh, I feel okay with my 6-year-old son watching these people, and I feel like they're a good influence and a creative influence." So, we'll watch the new Hermitcraft episodes together as a family on Friday or Saturday, and we'll spend, a whole afternoon on the weekend just playing Minecraft together, or we play Minecraft Dungeons, the new dungeon crawler game that they came out with,
Hmm.
and that one is super fun because everybody loves the dungeon crawler, right? But it's got that cute Minecraft style on it, and it just keeps the whole world fresh, and I I'm really enjoying it. I'm trying to get used to the Xbox. I
Mhm.
I did not have video game consoles when I was a kid, and I've always played on PCs because my parents were like, "We've already bought computers. We're not gonna buy, the
Yeah.
console too." So getting used to a controller, especially when the folks at Nintendo put their A button in a different spot than the people at Microsoft. Oh my god, that's the worst part of it. But I'm slowly becoming a not just a Minecrafter, but a little gamer, and I'm really enjoying it. It's been a very good diversion for this sort of time that we're in.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad that you found something you can do and do it as a family. That's a lot of fun.
Mhm,
And especially, I mean, Minecraft is, it's very creative. It does have a lot of artistic leaning. It's awesome that it's something that you can do together. I've never touched Minecraft, never played it once in my life. I don't have anything against it in particular, or even the genre. I played a lot of Terraria,
oh,
which
see, I don't know
was
that name.
it is a contemporary of Minecraft. It's 2D and
Mm,
was PC only, at least when it was put out when I was playing it. And it was they kind of came out around the same time.
uh-huh.
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, like
because
digging and mining and building stuff and farming recipes and yeah, all that.
yeah, Minecraft has really had a resurgence in the last few years. Like, I know that it was around about when I was in college, I think,
Yeah,
but I wasn't interested in it at that time, and I really think that something, in their development, they've really brought the game back, and it's really popular right now.
cool.
But, yeah, that's one of the things I'm trying on right now, Minecraft.
Awesome.
And speaking of, like, what we pretend to be in life.
Oh, good segue.
Boy, this episode is chock full of interesting ideas around that, isn't it?
It sure is. Let's go ahead and get into season 1, episode 3, Born to the Purple.
Mhm.
It's episode 4 if you count the pilot.
Right.
I found it doesn't on some things and it does on others. So
Yeah. My streaming service is counting it as number 4.
I watched on Vudu this time because I couldn't get my HBO Max is only on one device and my Wi-Fi wasn't working on that device and I didn't have the time to troubleshoot it, so I just watched it on Vudu. So no super detailed stuff from the background from me for this episode because I'd watched it in standard definition.
Well, I'll try to give you, if I remember anything, I'll get you some good ones.
Yeah. So before we get into this episode, I want to acknowledge at the end of last episode, we were talking about this episode, like, oh, it's the one with the Drazi and the green and the purple is what I thought this episode was. Yeah, me too. And that is actually season 2, episode 3. So it's the same episode, just next season.
I thought I would check the data files on your people, and it turns out this stupid contest of yours lasts just one cycle. The Drazi week is 6 Earth days, so in 4 days.
What's so funny?
Cycle not Drazi week. Cycle is Drazi year.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was constructed on purpose.
I mean, I would not be surprised. The name of that episode is The Geometry of Shadows.
Yeah.
Which
but the
could
title...
have been an episode for this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, the title of this episode definitely would fit on that episode.
Yeah, but that is, that's not the one. So.
Not the one.
Not the one.
Not the one. That was on purpose.
This episode opens, and I had a good chuckle at the opening just because the music and the shot of Babylon 5 are a little bit incongruous to me, and I'm sure that was intentional. And I was ready. I came in here again, I'm ready to like rough this thing up and laugh and make jokes about it because this music is not good. And
it's not. I tried to find what song this was. It is not a normal song. Like, it's not a real song.
Right.
We have this clip and it's in a couple of episodes and I can barely make out the words. Yeah, it comes back. Like all music in Babylon 5, it is overused.
Oh, good. Good.
Because there is no music budget for this show. It just doesn't exist.
You don't want to pay the musicians too much.
Except for the opening themes, which, of course. So yeah, we're at the Space Strip Club with Malari. And some generic synthwave.
And I came into this laughing at the synthwave, which is not good. And then did you catch what the opening line is?
No.
The opening line is "Set me free." And I went, God damn it, you bastard. Because that's sort of a foreshadowing for this episode, isn't it?
It is, for sure. Yeah. It 100% is.
Yep.
And so we're in this Space Strip Club, and Sinclair and Jakar show up to talk business with Malari. And Malari and Jakar kind of get buddy-buddy here. But I have to... One of them says, in all things in life are females not the finest. And I have to full stop at this moment right now. Like, record scratch, females is gross.
Yes.
It always has been gross. It always will be gross. And dear listener, if you're listening to this right now and you're like, saying females isn't gross, if you're someone that says females, I have an honest question for you, and I need to know the answer, and I need you to email me the answer, because I know the answer already. And that's, have you ever said males in the same context once in your life? Because I promise you haven't. If not now, you will, thinking about it to spite me, and then I'm okay with that, because then at least you're not being weird about it. Saying females is creepy. Don't say it. Just women. There's another word. You can call a person by their name. Like, there's all kinds of options here. It's gross.
It's gross. Anyone who calls women females can go fuck themselves. There's this instance, and if you think about our Star Trek universe, who else routinely that you can think of calls women females?
Is this a female? A human?
Well, it's the Ferengi do it all the time.
Right. And there's lots of things about the Ferengi that are not supposed to be admirable. Right. I mean, there are very admirable moments for certain Ferengi, like you think about Nog and his character development in Deep Space Nine. But for the most part, they're not something to aspire to in a lot of ways.
Agreed. And that reflects here. And that was our first 9 to 5 moment. Play the drop. Play the drop.
Boom.
If we got to, we got to work it in. It's too good to not work in.
Working 9 to 5. I want to know what the hell is going on.
Not yours.
Calm never got me a damn thing.
Don't turn your back on me. Don't you even try to walk away from me. Just who the hell do you think you are?
If you have something to say to me, say it.
Now get the hell out of our galaxy.
9 to 5. That's enough!
Thanks.
And Jakar fucking toasts Malari over this sentiment.
Oh,
like,
yes.
he didn't kidnap his nephew 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. He's forgotten episode 2 just entirely.
Yeah, completely. Everyone has, apparently, because neither of them should be comfortable with this situation. And here we are.
Yep.
And then Kodath shows up, who is not Natoth.
She is not Natoth.
And I know you were thinking, is he going to say Natoth? And I thought about it, but it's too close.
I wasn't thinking that at all.
After my not Vanova bit, I figured. There, I brought it back. I found a way. I got mileage out of it outside of the pilot. I'm happy. That's all I was going for.
Damn. I feel sorry for Kodath being stuck in this scene with this big midlife crisis energy. Like, ooh.
Someone comes up and hits on Kodath, and it's, hey, hotspots, wanna play Scan the Sector?
Worst pickup line ever.
Like,
why did you think that was going to work?
Like, Scan the Sector is clearly innuendo, right?
Right.
But I can't tell you exactly what it's innuendo for. Like, I've got some guesses. There's some conjecture. It could be a couple of things. And I'm just like, I don't know. I want more. I want to know exactly what the goal was here, because maybe it will make it less awkward if I know the goal.
No. I don't think it will.
You're right. It probably won't make it less awkward.
Yeah. This guy he's clearly new to Babylon 5 and clearly knows nothing about the Narn.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe he's not on the list. I don't know if Narns are on the approved list. I don't think that's something that's ever really addressed.
Yeah. I really want to see the list now. We need to know.
Right. I need JMS, tweet us the list. We need to know.
Give us the show Bible and show us the list, because that's got to be in there. Yeah, so Kodath almost rips that guy's face off, which is great.
Yeah, deserves it, for sure.
And I can think of many a time I've wanted to rip a man's face off in a club, so there we go.
Yeah, just apologies for the record. While I don't feel I'm personally responsible for any ire there, I have been drunk in public before. So I'll just go ahead and own the possibility that I might deserve to apologize.
Well, that's very generous of you. But anyway, Kodath almost kills this dude.
Pulls Jakar away, and then Londo goes back to his room, and the dancer from earlier is there waiting for him. And I've got some questions about this. One, we're assuming time passed and that she didn't transport from the stage to his room.
Sure.
Like, yeah, time passed. That's fine. I want to know how she got in there. More specifically, I want to know if she got in there through Veer.
Good question.
And I want to know Veer's reaction to this situation. Because that's a scene I feel like we deserved.
Yeah, I'm sure it was very embarrassed.
Like, you have to let me in. And he's just like, Veer face, and just doesn't know what to do. Do you think Veer was hanging out in there when she knocked and she had to kick Veer out?
I mean, the alternative is he's somehow given his key to this woman, and that seems like a big breach of security.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be the first we get in this episode. Or, well, it would be the first we get in this episode of others.
That's true. There's a few. We go to theme. We all enjoy the theme. And then when we come back from theme, we're in a meeting room where Veer has a handheld video game from the 90s.
I was going to call it a Game Boy.
Yeah, stolen straight from my childhood, complete with holographic stickers on.
Young gravy trading cards, all holographic.
Yeah, I had like one of these exact like square with the little screen in the center.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a bunch of random games that they were. I might have even had a Star Trek one. I think I did.
See, I've already established that I wasn't allowed to have video games outside of a PC, but I do know the exact one you're talking about.
Yeah, and Veer leaves his video game to go get Londo, and
Mhm.
Talia leaves with a headache from too much strong emotion in close proximity. We cut back to Londo and Adira. We learn her name before Veer gets there. And they have a conversation that is probably the least skeezy conversation in the episode,
Yeah.
which is saying something because it still doesn't feel good. I remember listening to this and I had to pause to see when Monica Lewinsky and that whole scandal was in relation to this.
Oh, that is
Because
something I
got
didn't
some
think of.
vibes. I got some vibes there, but it was 4 years before. It is entirely projection on my part.
It's almost like men in positions of power using that for gain over women is a timeless thing.
What? No, you're ridiculous. That's never happened in the course of human history. I'm trying really hard to sell sarcasm here. I feel like a lot of my sarcasm is facial expressions, so I'm really trying to put it in there, listener, so that you know that was sarcasm.
I can see it in his face. He's being
Thank you.
sarcastic.
I appreciate the clarification. Yeah, Londo has a line in here too that made me laugh a bunch. I'm just a washed up old Republican dreaming of better days.
So today I want to congratulate President-elect Joe Biden. I also want to congratulate the Vice President-elect, our colleague from California, Senator Harris.
Veer finally gets through. Londo calls him a moon-faced assassin of joy.
Yes, a classic Londo.
So rude, but so perfect.
So rude, so descriptive.
Yeah, and then we get introduced to our B storyline.
Yes.
Which is
not
heavy
the
as fuck.
Yeah, not the B storyline
I thought it was gonna be, yeah.
Right. This one started and I was like, oh, I think I know where this is going. And this isn't fun.
No.
Whoops.
This is not the fun B storyline I was hoping for Ivanova.
It's great backstory, for sure. We get more impressions of why she is who she is and the mystery that is back there for Ivanova, but not light material.
We get introduced to this by Garibaldi is in CNC, and he notes to Ivanova that someone has been using Gold Channel comm traffic unregistered.
Mm-hmm.
Gold Channel is ultra secured communication for use by senior staff and ambassadors only.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something going on, and Ivanova is very dismissive.
Yes.
Like, oh, it's just a gremlin.
Mm-hmm. And I kept thinking the whole time, every time we cut to this B story, I was like, this all could have been avoided if she just said something to Sinclair about, hey, I'm going to be using Gold Channel. I have a really good personal reason.
Yeah.
And Sinclair could have said to Garibaldi, knock it off.
Yeah, but that's not her way.
That's true. That's true.
A lot of Ivanova's initial character development is suffering in silence and learning that she doesn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
We have to get her to a point so that way when we hit season 3 and are introduced to our favorite ranger,
yes,
that they can interact on a better level. Because right now, if Marcus were a character in this show at this point, Ivanova is not ready to interact with him.
I'd say that's totally fair. I was just thinking about it, and this Ivanova is more closed off than I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And very much has some boundaries up with coworkers that I don't remember. I love that when we get back to the conference room and Londo has showed up to be antiquated and patronizing, the Narns are about to break that Game Boy.
Yeah, they are. They are ready to break that Game Boy for Sure.
But if it's anything like the 90s technology, it might be indestructible.
Yeah, you can bury Game Boys and dig them out like 15 years later and just turn them on.
Yeah.
Just not even like shrink wrap them or anything. After this, we get to meet Trackus. And I heard his voice. It was like, I know that voice.
Yes, I had the same reaction.
Did you Google him?
I did. And I thought,
Yeah.
man, they really pulled out the stops for hiring guest actors right at the beginning of this season 1. Like,
Yeah.
they put some investment into these bit parts.
They do that throughout. Like
That's true. Yeah.
That's definitely a line through the whole series. So Trackus, yeah, he's a real that guy. I knew him mostly from Star Wars video games, where he's a ton of Imperial officers and General Dodonna in the X-Wing series, which is like one of my like cornerstone games of my childhood is X-Wing on PC. And so I heard this voice, I knew this voice and was excited. He was also Sir Guy of Gisborne in TNG.
Mhm.
And then he was the original Emperor in The Empire Strikes Back.
And see, that's where I remember him from, because my father being a cheapskate,
Mm-hmm.
self-proclaimed cheapskate, what I had to watch Empire Strikes Back on was a Laserdisc. I don't know if
Nice.
you remember that, but we had Laserdisc for forever. So I didn't see the remastered originals for a long, long time. Like maybe might first have seen the remastered ones a couple of years ago.
Okay.
So that's one of those things that I had watched it over and over and over again. Like there was a summer in middle school where I probably watched a Star Wars movie every day
Nice.
because I was that obsessive child. And when I watched the remastered ones, I could tell you exactly what changed in those movies. So
Mhm.
I recognized his voice from Empire Strikes Back.
Did you Google anyone else in the episode?
You
Because
know, I
this led me
didn't.
down an IMDb rabbit hole.
Oh, no. Take us
Um,
there.
And Dira is in a movie that you've seen. I bet.
Are
I'm
you
willing to bet,
sure?
listener, that it's a movie you've seen.
Okay. Listener, maybe not me.
Probably you, but definitely listener. I feel
Okay.
like anyone who's listening to this podcast has watched this movie.
Okay.
That includes you, I guess. You're
Maybe.
editing, you listen to the podcast, in a manner of speaking.
We'll try.
A certain Michael Myers film from the 90s. He was Spy. Austin Powers.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
I have seen those.
She is
A
a lot
while
of
back.
vagina. In the first Austin Powers movie. Yep.
Do you think she's been typecast? Oh, boy.
All right.
That's kind of
Well-
a joke about a Centauri genitalia, but you won't if you're watching this for the first time through, you won't get it till later. I'm sorry.
Yeah. There's a surprise coming your way about the Centauri. Don't you worry. Okay. We can't laugh now because we find out Adira is a slave.
Right. Serious
Like straight up slave. And Trackus is her owner, I believe is the preferred nomenclature for Centauri slavery, and that Malari's family has a book of secrets with dirt on all the royal houses of the Republic that can just crash their entire government down.
Yeah. That's some pretty serious secrets.
Yeah. Which, I mean, we've already had a reference to something so terrible that Londo's uncle or grandfather did to the Narn. And it's just like, what could be so terrible to these people?
Right.
But there we are again talking about it. And so we find out Adira is going to betray Londo well before it happens.
Right.
And we see Londo in love here. He brings a bunch of LED flowers made from those plastic rings that hold 6 packs together and gives her a familial heirloom.
Yes.
And we find out something about Babylon 5 that I never caught on any watch through before. I don't know if it's only referenced here or what, but they talk about the best restaurant on the station is called Fresh Air.
Uh-huh.
and I fucking love it.
I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah.
And
like,
it's in the garden.
It's in the garden.
Yeah.
And it's, a breath of fresh air when you're in this canned environment. I just, it's so good. Like, someone deserves some recognition. Whoever named that restaurant in universe is like A+ work.
It's also interesting that the nicest restaurant where you can just breathe nice air, just fresh air, is where the rich people would go, right?
Yeah. Right. I was kind of wondering if it was going to be like one of those oxygen bars. I don't know if you remember that fad.
Yeah, I do. Never tried it.
Me either.
But I remember it. Yeah.
It's
like I got air right here. Like
right. Let me go pay for air. Excuse me. God, I hope we don't hit a fucking libertarian utopia like that.
There's
pay
your
for
novel.
Air, right? Someone listening to this podcast is very mad at me right now. And dear listener, if you are very mad at me about calling having to pay for air a libertarian utopia, I want you to know very personally you can fuck yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to defend you, listener. I'm sorry.
I'm glad you enjoyed 4 episodes of our podcast. Goodbye.
You're
still with us. Now we can get to the good stuff. Actually, so in college, I saw Bill Nye.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Oh, nice.
He was like on a speaking tour, and this is before he had like taken his current slant with his TV show. I don't know if you saw his new TV show on Netflix. It's very much like that. And he started his show at Central by like saying a bunch of controversial things if you don't particularly believe in things like evolution.
Or like science.
Or science in general, right? And he went off on a bit of a tangent and a bunch of people left, right? And this is how he started the show. And he pissed off, like 30 or 40 people in the audience. They all left. He waited for them to leave. And then he's like, good, now we can begin. And then went into his show.
That's a very effective technique. Very efficient.
Yeah.
I admire that.
Yeah, it let him talk about the things he actually wanted to talk about without getting yelled at a bunch. So good on him. And good on Garibaldi here, whose gold line tracer goes off.
Yes, it sounds so fancy.
It does, but he gets stopped mid-trace by some intrusion countermeasure electronics, leading to the only time in Jerry Doyle's career where he cursed ICE. Conservative media jokes.
Nice. I loved Jerry Doyle, and then his later career just baffled me.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
Anyways, we joined Sinclair, who's taken Talia out to dinner.
I wondered about this. Obviously, this scene is just here to A, show us fresh air, and B, show us that Adira and Londo are hanging all over each other and enjoying each other's company a lot. But I was like, why is Sinclair taking her out to dinner? And why is she dressed up? If my boss invited me out to dinner, I probably wouldn't have put on that outfit. If we're talking more business is what I would assume if my boss took me out to dinner, then I would just be normal. But she is very dolled up.
She's dressed to the nines for sure. I can't help this scene. I feel like this scene exists solely for JMS to force her to say intensely erotic. That's what this whole thing felt like a frame for. Like I said, that other conversation, the least skeezy thing to happen in this episode.
There's a lot to unpack here about gender relations in the 90s, women in the workplace in the 90s. Like, there's a lot there. And I do wonder, thinking back to my opener about what we pretend to be and how I absorbed a lot of things from my media when I was a child. I did watch this episode wondering, like, wow, was this good for me as a little girl in the 90s to be watching this show? Obviously I've come out okay. I think I'm mostly fine. But
for as much as I know you.
Yeah, right. But I wonder, I'm like, did I absorb some bad things from the show? And I think that as long as we question ourselves on these things, sometimes we're probably doing the right thing. It's when you don't question.
Yeah, for sure.
Have a problem. So
I don't remember if I watched this one when I was a kid or not. I'm sure I missed episodes.
Mhm.
I know I did because there's actually 2 episodes that I found out I missed when I was rewatching this last time. I had 2
Mhm.
episodes that I had absolutely no recollection of, and they're incredibly plot important episodes. And it occurred to me that I had never realized a huge ending of one of the story arcs I just missed between these
Right.
2 episodes.
I definitely remember this one because I remembered Adira because she was a beautiful young woman, and
Yeah.
that made an impression on me.
There you go.
So
We get a moment of Ivanova telling Garibaldi he's crazy.
I remember when I lost my mind.
You could give me a 2-hour movie of this. Of
Yes.
just Ivanova giving Garibaldi shit for being insane, like you're imagining things.
Uh-huh.
I would watch hours upon hours of this. Just spoon feed it to me, throw it in an IV, whatever it takes. I'm here for it. It's excellent.
I think we learned something about Xhafer just now. But she is really good. I love it.
You're not wrong. Just not wrong. Never mind.
Mm. Yeah, that's one of them double negatives.
Anyways, we go back to Londo and Adira, and she shrugs his ass. And he is like out immediately. Like, she like puts something in his drink. He's all like, oh, my champagne. And then he is instantly unconscious.
Yes.
This made me feel things, having had a friend who was drugged in a club once and having to drag his ass out and take care and the whole deal. Definitely some memories there for me that are not great. But also, this worked way too fast. I mean, it's future space drugs, but what's the practical application of this? Well, I suppose just you're knocking someone out. It just seems like it's so quick. Like,
Right.
you wouldn't want it to work that quick, I would think.
That seems unhealthy.
What if they had just been standing and he drank it?
Mhm.
You'd just fallen. But I mean, it's not like you care about the other person's health. You're drugging them.
Right.
So, their opinion on the matter clearly doesn't matter to you. Londo is drugged and gives away his password, Wine Women's Song, which is only 13 characters, has no numbers or special characters.
Oh, man.
It's a shitty password.
Someone does need to talk to him about password security.
I will happily have that conversation with him. I have to have it all the time with people. Why can't I use this as a password? I get angry customers who want to talk to the manager about why the password can't be things sometimes. It's just all like, let me explain to you password security. I guess that's part of my job now.
You know, I totally understand what makes a password more secure. I just wish that every system that I use at work didn't have different requirements. Like,
you've just got to find the one that works.
Yeah.
There is one that works, and then you have to find another one that works 3 months later, probably 3 to 6, depending on.
But it seems like I'll have a system that's like, it must be at least this many characters and have this many numbers and this many special characters. And then I'll get on another system and it's like, well, it must be this long, but it can't have any special characters. And
yeah,
and it's like,
especially the archaic stuff. It's like some stuff, sometimes you'll hit ones that are like, can't be more than 8 characters.
Which is just madness. Madness.
Yeah. His password is better than 1234, though, which is, of course, something an idiot would have on his luggage.
Well, did it work? Where's the key? It worked, sir. We have the combination. Great. What's the combination? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. That's amazing. I've got the same combination on my luggage.
Right. I'm glad you got that reference. I've made that reference before at work with the same thing, and nobody's gotten it.
I'm so sorry.
It's
I'm
terrible.
always here for the Spaceballs drop. Always.
Okay. Whew, I'm glad.
So Londo's out cold. Veer wakes him up and he finds the heirloom pin in his empty glass. And Londo is so desperate to find out what happens, he puts Veer in charge of the negotiations.
I love this bit.
Don't give away the homeworld. I was just, it's perfect. It's perfect both times it's in this episode.
Yep.
Adira goes to meet with her owner, goes on the run, and Tracus and Londo meet outside of Adira's quarters, where Londo gets told that Adira is a Narn agent.
Yes.
Yeah, that's rude.
The Tracus trying to play it off. I'm sitting there like, if she is Tracus's property and I'm Londo hearing all this for the first time, my mind would immediately go to, this is your instructions. She's not just stealing this for...
Right?
Yeah, I wouldn't believe Trackets for a second. And maybe he doesn't. He just doesn't explicitly say, I don't believe you.
Yeah. I mean, he is pretty swept up in things at the moment. We do get a little world building here because, of course, the Centauri have legalized slavery. He like pulls out paperwork and it's just like, nope, this is for real.
Yeah, I find it so hard to believe that a species that would still subscribe to an idea like slavery would achieve space travel, but
That's so optimistic.
yeah,
I
isn't
really
it?
appreciate how optimistic that is.
Me, not okay. I don't know. It's a waste of so much intellectual power, intellectual real estate to treat people in that way. I think back to, and this might be a myth, but there's a story about Bill Gates giving a speech, I believe in Saudi Arabia, and he's giving it to, there's half the room is men and half the room is women, and there's a divider between the two. And he tells them that the thing holding their country back is that they are separating half of their intellectual power from the other half and not using those ideas that are coming from half of their workforce.
Yeah.
And it seems like it would be hard as a whole species and civilization to achieve space travel and big lofty ideas like that if you cut off half of your... Well, and we don't know how much of Centauri's society is possibly enslaved.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it seems like it would be hard.
Yeah. I mean, and we don't know the economic conditions. Like, it could just be that they call it slavery and it's really more like indentured servitude or something, where it's all despicable regardless, just to be absolutely clear. I'm not trying to excuse slavery in any way. Fuck all of it.
Yeah.
Just that said aloud. But, you know, it could be something where it's something that you maybe volunteer for, you sell yourself like that.
He does mention that
Almost
she
like
is
a military
contracted.
service kind of thing.
Right.
But yeah, it's real fucky. I would also like to think, the more I think about it, I would really like to think that you wouldn't progress that far as a society being that backwards to members of your society.
I'm just going to keep being optimistic and hope for that.
It's a fantastic viewpoint.
Yeah. I hope that we can maybe get ourselves to space, wink, wink, by maybe getting rid of some of outdated ideas.
Nice. I'd settle for getting rid of the outdated ideas, but space is cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, Jakar finds out that Veer was sent to negotiate, responds in kind, putting his assistant in charge, straight down to don't give away the homeworld.
Yeah.
Really good.
It's just really good. Delightful.
Yeah, the mirroring of their actions in kind to each other of Londo and Jakar.
It's that hinting.
It's important of things to come, for sure.
Yeah, it's hinting at how alike they are, even though they don't acknowledge that.
They would hate it. Yeah, they'd hate that you said it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there they are. Sinclair goes to Londo and agrees to help in exchange for his treaty compromise. Londo says, I'll seal it with a kiss. Sinclair changes into some civvies, and he looks like he just got out of horse riding with Paul Revere.
Yeah. It's some interesting casual fashion.
Yeah. Sinclair puts on his face, then goes to the dancers. Londo gets some information, but with the bug planted on him, so Trackus knows what's going on too. And we get an excuse to see some more of that Mantis outfit, which is just fantastic.
I was going to say, I'm so glad Mr. Mantis came back.
Let's go get some beer.
I don't know, Zorak. I don't think my folks want me drinking beer.
That's why we're doing it.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So they paid a lot for that costume, and they're going to get the most use out of it they can. It's the Babylon 5 way.
And I really, really hope, I was like, I don't remember if this guy shows up again in other seasons, but I really want him to.
So I scrubbed this to 3207, but that was on Vudu. So hopefully they haven't always lined up with HBO. So it might not be quite the scene, but we have two guys that I could only describe as a movie poster for the 1991 film Space Gangsters.
Oh my gosh, yes, right? I was gonna call this guy Space Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
Like
I like that.
the glasses and the beard and just all there, man.
Yep.
I did wonder too, speaking of the costumes here, the civilian costumes, do you think that Londo had to take off the wig for that hooded cape that he's wearing? Because
Does he take it down?
No, he doesn't.
Not once, then probably,
Nope.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's laying really well. Like there's not a big wig under there.
You could tell me that wig is supported by steel wire, and I would believe you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's got to be something.
So I'm thinking he wasn't wearing the wig in the scene. That is my hypothesis.
I subscribe to your podcast. Yeah, that's here for that. After this, we go back to the B plot. Garibaldi plays his hunch and finds out that Ivanova was using the unauthorized Gold Channel communications to talk to her dad, who is dying.
Yeah.
And they have the realest talk.
Mm-hmm.
It is heartbreaking. It is really sad.
It makes you wonder who in the writer's room had some dad issues that they needed to work out right here.
Yeah. Like it's real fucking heavy.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me a little bit. There's another podcast. I hate to recommend a podcast on our podcast.
Go for it though.
That they were called Why Our Dads. And they were exploring like the relationship that we have with our dads through pop culture and through movies and media. They have changed their name and they're exploring a little bit wider psychological or philosophical relationship nature now. And now they are You Are Good is the name of their podcast now. But it was that podcast that got me thinking in this moment. I was like, oh, this is some real dad moment that we're having here and establishing something for Ivanova. And you can tell it was incredibly personal for someone else.
100%. Yeah, it's a lot. And Garibaldi shows us some understanding here. He understands what he's seen.
He feels like a big old jackass.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which, I mean, isn't necessarily like warranted. Like he was doing what he was supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. He was doing his job.
And she was breaking the rules.
Yep.
But like you said at the top of this episode, she had just said something. She probably wouldn't have had to have broken the rules and could have had her privacy.
Mm-hmm. A whole B story could have been avoided here.
Yep. After this, we get a conversation with G'Kar, and so the highlight of which is G'Kar telling Sinclair, "I didn't know you could be so devious, Commander." And Sinclair responding, "Coming from you, that's a real compliment."
And I'm like, do you not remember when he put a nano robot in you?
That you still haven't found.
These people have not been watching the previous episodes.
Last time on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
No, they're not up on their episode recaps. They really need to go back and watch last week's before the next one. I do feel like this is the first episode with the real G'Kar, though.
Yes.
Like, this is really, if you are watching for the first time, listener, and you have not enjoyed G'Kar as a character at all, and then all of a sudden this episode he clicks with you, you're in for a real freaking treat for the rest of the series, because this is going to be a lot of what you get from him in the future.
Yes.
This kind of more playful, not just evil kind of dude.
He came off really strong. We're going to get to know him a lot better. And this is the beginning.
And this leads to Sinclair and Londo getting Talia to break Psi-Corps regulations to save Adira's life.
I like that we've had 4 episodes. And in 2 of them, we've had to convince a telepath to break regulations in order to save the day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you build something like a telepath Deus Ex Machina but into your show,
you gotta
press it. Yeah. And I just gotta say, like, Talia's rude as fuck here.
Oh, I think I know what you're going to say. When Londo says that there's a woman's life at stake, not to mention his career. And she says,
Yeah.
so do you really think this woman might die?
Yeah. Well, no,
Because she doesn't give two shits about Londo's career.
Well, no, that's 100% fair.
Yeah.
No, in the next scene is where she's rude as fuck.
Oh,
because she's
okay.
insisting that she won't deep scan this guy to save this woman's life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She's like, no, I won't. Only surface thoughts. I'm not going to break the rules to save this woman's life, but I will list off a bunch of stuff you can't think about so that you think about it so I don't break the rules. What bullshit. That is rude, Talia. Just do the thing.
Talia has played this game before.
Yeah, it's
definitely
just like, if you actually cared, you'd do what was necessary, right? Just do the thing. Save the woman's life, right? You don't need to be like crafty bullshit to work around your regulations and like, don't think about where this person is. It's just like, just do the thing.
Yeah, this definitely tells us a lot about Psycor, and we now have 2 Psycor employees, if you will, that we've been very easily able to convince them, yes, you need to do the right thing. And they figure out a crafty kind of way to get around it. It's almost like oppressive systems don't really work.
Right.
It's weird.
I mean, it does show like how deeply brainwashed these people are into Psycor land, which is pertinent knowledge for later. So this guy freaks out. He's like, oh, I thought about the thing you told me not to think about. And Londo just straight knocks him out and gives him the boots. He gets his secrets back, and then he thanks Jakar for saving his career and the honor of the Centauri Republic.
Yep.
And I'm just like, chef's kiss. That's beautiful.
He definitely did not need to do that.
He didn't. He didn't need to do that. But that's probably the only justifiable revenge he can get on Jakar for 2 episodes ago.
It's true. Yeah. The reasonable thing would be to tell him you've just saved someone's life, and instead we say the thing that he's going to hate.
Yeah, for sure. Also, you saved someone's life, but you don't care about that.
She's just a woman. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, just the finest thing in life, females. Oh, it's so bad. So yeah, Jakar is really hilarious here for someone who committed war crimes.
Yeah, it's very slapstick for this little scene. You could throw a little da 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 on the end of this. Like, that's how.
After this, we get a scene in scene C where Garibaldi lets Ivanova know that he knows, but also just lets her off the hook, which is good. And we get a little bit of like, hey, you know, I'm not going to meet you for a drink, but maybe later. Like, friends.
Don't forget the thumbs up. Oh, friend. Oh, new friend. Oh.
Yeah, like you haven't totally destroyed this relationship, but I can't be with you right now. I can't look at your face.
Yep. And then we get my favorite part of the episode at the very end here, because Londo sets Adira free and she fucking leaves. Like she fucking should.
Yep. And Londo
like,
it just totally flies over his head that maybe this woman who was being economically oppressed and slept with you and loved, and there might have been some genuine emotion there. She definitely plays it that way. But maybe that someone who is a slave can't really consent to a relationship with you. And it just flies right over his head.
And even if she did, she was in such a position where it's Stockholm syndrome, you know, like it doesn't even matter.
Right. Is that really consent?
Yeah.
If you're being economically pushed into something, or theoretically, you know, Trackus had that zappy glove that he used on somebody's face. Yeah. Threat of violence or economic threats. Like, oh, Londo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really out of touch.
He's got this whole, I freed you after you drugged me, and I'm not saying you owe me, but and I'm just like, I hate that vibe, and I'm so glad that she just like took that, threw it in his fucking face and peaced.
Yeah.
It's really the appropriate action there.
I definitely found myself wondering if I know that we get more females involved with Londo, but I don't remember if Adira is going to come back or not.
She does in one episode. I won't ruin it. And that's the episode. We leave on that.
Yeah, this one was a little harder for me because there are parts of it that are very funny, but it is a little bit dark.
It's a dark episode.
Yeah, I came into this like, I'm not sure how I'm going to make jokes about it. But I'm glad you had lots of jokes available.
I had some jokes.
Yeah. There are things that deserve to be made fun of in this episode, for sure.
For sure.
But you said in episode 2 that we start to see Londo's turnaround from the pilot, where we start to see a little bit darker side of Londo, or that Londo is going to go on a dark path.
Yeah.
In that episode. And I see that accelerating here because he definitely has this opportunity to confront maybe the unfairness and the things that are wrong with Centauri society of the past. And instead, he does keep going with that back to the glory days mentality.
Yeah.
And he really got slapped in the face in this episode with some of those realities. But he chooses to ignore that.
Yeah.
Ignore that message. So.
Yeah, he does. Adira lives rent-free in Londo's mind for the rest of the series. She is referenced a great deal as the story progresses.
And he seems to think, in a lot of what I remember about the show, that returning to those glory days is going to fix everything that's wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like, sorry, Londo, those glory days are what got Adira where she was.
It's true. 100%.
And it's also why she left you.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Because you're just an old Republican dreaming of the glory days. Mitch McConnell.
I want to pull up now what the next one is.
We have season 1, episode 4, Infection.
That doesn't sound like it's going to get lighter.
No. An artifact brought onto Babylon 5 by Dr. Franklin's mentor turns his assistant into a killing machine.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you for putting up with this episode, listener. Hope that it didn't cause you any distress. And thank you to Jeremy Siegel for providing our music for this podcast. And if you like Jeremy, please go check him out on Bandcamp. He's got some great stuff up there. And that's Jeremy Siegel42 at bandcamp.com. And we'll see you next week.
That's all, folks.